Hey art nerds, I'm back at you with another watercolor review today. This is an unbox and swatch video. The field test is going to be in a follow-up video, so hopefully you guys will keep an eye out for that. If you're new to my channel, I review watercolor supplies all the time, so consider sticking around. So today we're taking a look at the Derwent Graphitint Paint Pan Pocket Set. In the past, we've taken a look at the Derwent Inktense Paint Pan Set, the first one. There's two out now, as well as this Graphitint set. So I was kind of lukewarm on the Inktense Paint Pan Set. The colors felt kind of dull and flat as they're India ink based. This kind of put me off purchasing the follow-up set of 12, but when BomberBee mentioned that Derwent released a Graphitint set, my ears perked right up. I really love muted colors and reviewed several watercolor sets that aim to fulfill just that. Recently, I was fortunate enough to get a sample from my friend Kabocha of the Gogh Dusk Colors, and I really liked what they had to offer. This set intrigued me not just because of the muted, possibly granulating colors, but the notion that I might be able to erase these added a fun element. Graphitint were available as pencils first, and in a follow-up video, I'll compare the two products head to head. So let me know in the comments below if you're interested in them. I'll also have a link in the description to where you can see my original Derwent Inktense Paint Pan Set review and field test. The Graphitint Paint Pan Set and the Derwent Inktense Paint Pan Set are packaged very similarly. A simple cardboard box, a plastic case, and removable half pans. With a bit of struggle, the half pans pop out so you can make your preferred palette, combining the two if you wish. The colors in this set are autumn brown, russet, meadow, green gray, slate green, ocean blue, steel blue, dark indigo, aubergine, juniper, port, and graphite gray. And the paint itself actually feels a bit like graphite, cooler to the touch and a bit more metallic than your average half pan. And these suckers are really prone to popping out of their half pans. There's basically nothing keeping them in, so you may want to dab a little gum arabic at the bottom just to hold them in place. These come with a cleaning sponge, which I never use, a water brush, and a built-in palette at the top. It also comes with a swatch graph or a swatch map here at the top, although I do prefer to make my own. Now, the Inktense paint pans are made using India ink ground really finely, and that's why you don't get a lot of color variation or granulation. So I'm hoping with the addition of a bit of graphite, the Graphitint will give me just what I'm looking for. This set was purchased by me through Dick Blick, and I'll have links in the description where you can get your own set. The Graphitint Paint Pan Set is $17.50 on Blick. It's not available on Amazon, and it's not available yet through Jerry's Artorama. The Graphitint pencils, set of 12, are $21.50 on Blick, so they're a bit more expensive than the same 12 colors in half pack form on the same site. And they are $24.50 on Amazon, and they are also not available on Jerry's Artorama. So next we're going to do a little bit of swatching with these. I am swatching on Fluid 100 cotton rag paper. So this is the cold press paper. And when I'm swatching watercolors, I like to give them the best chance possible, so I usually swatch on one of my favorite cotton rag papers. We're applying a little bit of black Copic to the paper. This is going to help us test the opacity without interfering with the colors themselves, since alcohol markers are not water soluble. Of course, that also means getting the cardboard package open. If I were using this for studio use, I wouldn't keep the cardboard package, but I would write Graphitint on the front just because it looks basically the same as the Derwent, and this would help me keep the two separate. I'm also adding a little bit of water to each half pan just to help them pre-activate. So in all of my watercolor unswatch and box videos and most of my alcohol marker unbox and swatch videos, I like to break it up into two pieces. We have the unboxing, the unswatching, where we talk about, or the unboxing, the swatching, where we talk about pigments. In this case, Derwent is using India ink, so theoretically, these are going to be not water soluble and not liftable once they've had a chance to dry fully. And then in the second video, I give it my all and I give it a field test, and I use that to not only talk about the products themselves, but also do a little bit of a watercolor and watercolor demonstration. So I break these two up into separate videos because it allows for more of a chance to talk about the product itself and more of a chance to talk about watercolor as an art form that I love. So for this swatch, we have a mass tone swatch at the top. So we're checking for opacity with that. And then we have a gradiated swatch where we've washed it out with a little bit of water to check for granulation and to see if there's any color shifts as we add water. And I was really hoping for a lot of granulation with these, particularly maybe the graphite sedimenting out separately from the India ink pigments. All right, are those pigments? I guess they're pigments. And it really wasn't as striking as it was with the Van Gogh Dusk Colors. I'll link those if you're interested in those as well. And speaking of muted watercolor shades, I've also reviewed the Boko Undo Sumiask watercolors. I'll link those in the description as well for those of you who love muted colors as much as I do. I really like the included color gamut with these are all colors that I really like. I'm not yet sure how I want to use this palette. I do think it would be a lot of fun for monochromatic, and maybe for more muted things. You guys will have to keep an eye out for the field test to see how I handle these paints. And as I mentioned earlier, these are purchased out of pocket by me for the purposes of review. So if you enjoy what I do, if you found this review helpful, useful, and informative, please consider supporting my work on Patreon at patreon.com/natosoup. So here are the dried colors. They've had a chance to dry, had a chance to bond on the cotton rag paper. And again, going from left to right, we have russet meadow, green gray, slate green, ocean blue, steel blue, dark indigo, aubergine, juniper, which is a red in this case, port, and graphite gray. So I'm going to allow these to dry fully, and we're going to move on to the lift and erasing test next. Those are important to me because they help me decide whether or not these colors are going to be prone to lifting and muddying with repeated layering and glazing. So the lift test is fairly simple. The watercolors have had a chance to dry, and I use a synthetic flat to scrub just a little bit just to see how prone these are to lifting. And then I remove the excess water and the lifted paint with a paper towel. And these really surprised me because all the colors here are prone to lifting, which I think is kind of unusual for these sort of India ink based paints. So like I mentioned, the Derwent Inktense paints are India ink based, as are the Inktense pencils, which is why every time I refer to them as watercolor pencils, someone needs to let me know in the comments below that they are actually not watercolor. I know y'all, but it's just easier to refer to them that way. And Faber-Castell has released an India ink based watercolor palette that I've been eyeing for a while. You guys might see that review in the near future. So disappointingly, all of these colors are fairly prone to lifting. I really didn't think they would be. I don't know if that's the graphite or if that's the India ink or if there was poor adhesion to the paper or what. We're definitely going to be able to dive into this a bit more during the field test. So next I want to do the erase test. Now I was really hoping these would erase because I feel like that opens up a world of possibilities and makes these more similar to a graphite product than to a watercolor product. And some of them do erase a little, but it's like the same amount of eraser you would get if you were just trying to erase regular watercolors where you're scrubbing the pigments off the paper. They didn't erase the way I expected a graphite product to erase. So I was a little bit disappointed in that because I was really excited about that potential aspect, as I thought it would have been a cool use for these. Alright, so let's talk pros and cons. The pros are, I am a sucker for muted colors. If you like muted palettes, this is a good palette for you. There's nice granulation, and this was really something that was missing from the Inktense half pans. And it's a compact travel palette. These are also quite affordable at $17.50. They could be a good introductory palette. The cons are, they're prone to lifting, they don't erase, and they're a bit opaque. And when I'm looking at watercolors, I'm looking for beautiful transparency. And I think the opacity comes from both the India ink granulation as well as the addition of the graphite to make these Graphitint. And these are probably great for grisaille and monochrome watercolor painting. So I am really looking forward to diving into these for the field test. I'm going to brainstorm all sorts of ideas for these, but I do have a few things in mind that might be fun to try out. I hope you guys will keep an eye out for that field test video, and I hope you guys will check out some of my other wonderful watercolor videos here on this channel. If you're new to me and my work, I am a watercolor comic artist, so I do watercolor comics, and you can read my watercolor comic for free at 7inchkara.com. And we just successfully kickstarted volume 2, so if you're a fan of print comics, you'll be able to order volume 1 and volume 2 through my shop. You'll find a link to that in the description below. If you like this video and you want to know what's coming up next on the channel, I always share sneak peeks on my Instagram. I also share art on my Instagram, and you guys can check that out at instagram.com/nattosoup. I'll have links for everything in the description below, but I would recommend, if you really want these, that you order them through Dick Blick, as they have a very fair price on these, and they are in limited availability through other watercolor providers, other art supply shops. But if you know of a good price elsewhere, feel free to link it down in the comments below. And what's something else you guys would like to see me review on this channel that I've never reviewed before? I'm always open and interested in hearing from you guys what you would like to see, so let me know that in the comments as well. So these are the India ink-based, graphite-based Graphitint half pans from Derwent. You can get them for $17.50 from Dick Blick. That's where I bought them from. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye, guys!